Good morning, and we will open up this part of the election process. We have been notified and pulled this together to begin a recount of the May 11th election. And I understand that probably in order to get things started and figure out what the rules we're going to operate by, we probably need to have some discussion on that. And at some point here soon, the people who will be conducting the recount, Dr. Vance, myself, Judy Johnson, and two ladies here, at least those need to be sworn in as official election people for today. We'll do that shortly. So, what kind of discussion do we need preliminary? Mr. Payton, to start with you. Anybody,
Yes.
just for the record, maybe introduce, but we are recording this.
Commissioner Vance, my name is Harvey D. Payton. I'm a lawyer from Mayfair, West Virginia, and I am the designated representative for the candidate Charles Brumfield for the office of the Democrat nomination for the office of Lincoln County Circuit Clerk, and for the candidate Phoebe Harless for the Democrat nomination for the office of Lincoln County Commissioner. On Thursday, May the 20th, each of these individuals submitted a request for a recount. That was prior to the final certification of the election results. My recollection is all other races except the Democrat nomination for Circuit Clerk and County Commissioner were certified. That's Thursday the 20th. And I assume that notice has been given of the recount. My clients received a notice of the recount. And so we're within the proper time frame. Is that correct?
That's correct. Everyone that was to get a notice has been served.
The request that we filed for a recount last Thursday requested a recount of all absentee ballots in all precincts. I was advised last Thursday by the prosecuting attorney, and may have actually also been in a conversation with you, I'm not sure, that the absentee ballots, and in fact they were a separate part of a separate container and could be counted without counting every precinct.
Yeah, it's considered a separate precinct.
Okay, if that's the case, what my clients would request is that the order be that those ballots be counted first, and then we would decide whether to get forward with the recount of the other enumerated precincts. I've discussed this with the designated representative for the other two candidates, Mr. Ramey for the County Commission and Sheriff Bowman for Circuit Clerk, and I don't believe there's any objection to that procedure.
Mr. McCann, that's correct. My name is Mike Carey. I'm an attorney from Charleston. I'm the designated representative of Mr. Ramey, who's the candidate for County Commissioner, and Mr. Bowman, who's the candidate for Circuit Clerk. We filed a notice of right to reserve, the right to ask for a recount depending on the outcome of the recount as requested by the opponents. We have no objection and would agree that the most efficient way of handling this matter is to proceed to recount the absentee ballots first and then determine what course, if any, to follow after that.
In addition to that, I would say this, under the, I believe it was the code and the West Virginia State Code of Rules, it provides that either of the candidates, either of my clients or Mr. Carey's clients, have the right to question any ballot, which doesn't open up the floor for extrinsic evidence, but it does require that that ballot did be marked in some fashion, so it could be identified for a later contest if one is filed. So I can tell you in advance it would be our intention to question all of the absentee ballots. So I think the procedure would then be the ballots would be passed to the deputized persons. They examine that ballot to see if it expresses the intent of the voter. If they decide it does, then they count the ballot, but then the ballot's numbered. I assume we just start with 1 through whatever the ultimate number is, and that way, because when you file an election contest, you have to specifically list what votes you challenge, so they have to be marked in some fashion.
And I understand that to be the process as well, and that in fact, simply questioning it simply starts the process of simply having them reviewed There is no provision for allowing extrinsic evidence to be brought to it beyond the records of the court. But because they have to be identified for purposes of the contest, they should each be individually marked in some way to allow the contest goers to make a designation.
I think the best practices manual of the Secretary of State, they can correct it, say generally they number the ballot on the back. Turn it over and put a number on the back.
Right. This one's bad.
In general, Secretary of State's office, is that pretty much the procedure that we should be following? You concur with what's been discussed, Richard or somebody?
If that's what you all agreed to, that's, you all proceed that way.
There's nothing improper about that opinion of the Secretary of State. I know you don't want to make our decisions, but we want your input on the case. And the prosecutor.
Yeah, that's, again, I haven't been through one of these, but I've done a pretty good review of the statutes over the last few days. That's the way from reading the statutes and not having to talk to somebody stand on, that appears to be the proper way to do it, and in particular with apparently all the candidates agreeing that that's the proper way, I don't think there should be any problem with going on that way.
Okay, and who should do the marking of this process?
One of you all can do that.
Beg your pardon?
One of the commissioners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever removes the ballot from the box and marks it, I mean, we can just presume, we'd have to stand and question every one of them, so I don't want to have to say every time we question that ballot, just remove it.
I think we just put Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, and right on down the line.
Sure. And then pass it to I think then they have to just look at the ballot to make sure it's proper on its face and it's properly marked, and if there's a question about that, they can just disregard it. But if there's not, then they count it.
Well, they can disregard it if there's some reason to call it a question.
That's correct.
In terms of that particular vote.
That particular vote.
And we'll hear that from each side of the table as to.
Well, that's not our role,
No.
as I understand it, that's just,
Okay. Now, what about
and you all.
Yeah. Is there, as they look at these ballots and they determine to count those, then is it proper then to have a new tally run through with that?
Yeah, I think you just do the tally as you go
I'm just
through.
trying to make sure everybody agrees this process. I haven't been through one of these either, but it seems like that would be the process, because end of the day, there may be a difference between what was started and the end.
I think there is a new tally to be maintained as
We
each
do
vote.
have sheets here to do that, but we do have a Democrat and Republican here to record this.
Okay.
It indicates in the code of rights that they maintain a separate tally sheet. It also says that the two offices are to be recounted at the same time. So they start with one and they count votes, but
Said they are or not.
should not be done at the same time. A recount has been requested for more than one elected office. One deputized team may only handle one elected office at a time. Teams shall work with its elected office or special until the recount is completed, and then start on the next office. Now,
Where are you reading that?
it's in.
Yeah, I think that's, it's my understanding that's correct, and I think Secretary of State's office agrees that's correct.
That's Rule 153-20-6.6.
I'm not sure that I don't think I would be comfortable with the parties agreeing to waive it. I don't think.
Well, I don't think we can.
I don't think we can. I know there's been some things talked. I think that's going to just have to be followed.
Well, full hunger now.
Yeah, we just have to do it twice.
All right.
And what are we going to be looking at